Joining us now, Senator Jim DeMint, of course, from South Carolina, as the action now moves to his state in this presidential primary run. Senator DeMint, how are you?
Laura, I'm doing well, and the action is picking up a lot in South Carolina, so it's going to be exciting 2 weeks.
Now, I have a question. Are you getting a lot of flowers and pajamagrams and chocolates and fruit baskets? I mean, are you getting a lot of this stuff for the campaigns, just to say hello, just maybe they looking for an endorsement, anything?
No, and I've said I'm not going to endorse, and I'm not, but I have found if I say anything nice about any of the candidates, the news suddenly reports I'm getting ready to endorse one of them, but I'm going to keep my focus on the Senate because it doesn't matter who we elect as president if we keep the same Senate we've got, and that's where I have a little more leverage, I think, in making a difference with Senate Conservatives Fund, but I feel good about our top folks in the race, and I think the next 2 weeks is going to reveal a lot about the candidates. I've learned that pressure brings out the best or the worst in candidates, and I think we're starting to see that right now.
Senator, when we see Ron Paul from Texas, and I know you've known him for a long time, when you see Ron Paul from Texas coming in with an impressive showing in Iowa and then comes in second place in New Hampshire, what do you make of that? I mean, I just wrote a blog post on my website about this, thinking that, look, it's easy for neoconservatives especially to kind of just dismiss him and kind of make fun of some of his positions and he's a nut and all this. But do you think there are some lessons for the Republican Party in the rise of Ron Paul?
Well, I'm glad you asked about it because I think one of the things that's hurt the so-called conservative alternatives is saying derogatory things about Ron Paul. I don't agree with him on everything, but he's right about the out-of-control and unaccountable Federal Reserve. He's right about the need for limited constitutional government and the importance of individual liberty. And I really think the Republican who's going to win this thing, if they capture some of what Ron Paul has been talking about for years, and more we can see that what he's been talking about is true. So again, you don't have to agree with everything he's saying, but if the other candidates miss the wisdom in what he's saying about our monetary policy and limited government, then I think we'll see it's to their detriment because the 20% or 25% or so that are supporting him are people that we need in the Republican Party. And a lot of them are libertarians, but they're our natural base, and we shouldn't ignore them.
Well, in effect, couldn't you make the argument, Senator, that the establishment mentality in the Republican Party that rebranded itself compassionate or American greatness conservatism, and then now it's being called big government conservatism, that it kind of created this Ron Paul boomlet? I mean, it created it by extending itself militarily, perhaps, and extending its spending way beyond its means. Yeah,
you're exactly right. And if Republicans don't embrace a lot of these ideas, we're going to end up with a third party that essentially guarantees the Democrats are going to win. But the debate within the Republican Party that I'm comfortable with is between conservatives and libertarians. There's just no room for moderates and liberals when your government's $15 trillion in debt. We don't have any money to spend, so it doesn't make any sense to compromise with someone who wants to grow the government. We need to talk about how best to limit and downsize government. And what I'd like to see is a Republican Party that embraces a lot of the libertarian ideas.
You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show, and we have a lot of media types who listen to this broadcast, and I hope you just took note of what Jim DeMint said about Ron Paul and about that underlying philosophy of his of returning power to the people and moving toward a much more constitutionally based approach in our government. And again, not agreeing with everything he says on Iran or things that have been written about 9/11. But nevertheless, there's a reason that all these young people are turning out for him, and he seems to be growing, not getting smaller year by year. I mean, he's 76 years old, Senator. 76? Yeah. He looked pretty young last night.
Well, and he's got a lot of energy, and again, he's got a big young following, and we may not agree with him on military and defense, and I don't on a lot of those things, but we're going to end up in the same place if we're broke. We're not going to have the ability to defend ourselves and have people all over the world if we don't have a strong economy. We're not going to have a strong economy with big government, whether they're Republicans or Democrats. And so we need to listen to what, it's not just Ron Paul, and millions of Americans are beginning to realize that we need to return to decentralized, more individualistic.
All right. Well, he just represents a sentiment, right? I mean, he happens to be articulating that sentiment, which I think is based in a growing revulsion against both parties. I hear that everywhere I go, Senator, which is why I believed in 2010, and with your help, the Tea Party movement made a big difference in this process. But nevertheless, the Tea Party movement does not have the power, it doesn't look like, or the influence to actually get a candidate necessarily nominated of its liking. Even though Tea Party people pretty much showed up for Romney last night. I mean, all these Tea Party folks emailing my website saying, "Oh, we don't have our candidate." Well, what does that tell you about the Tea Party? It needs to get better organized.
Well, but the Tea Party was never an organization. It was a mixed group of Americans that included Democrats, Libertarian, recovering liberals, Republicans, conservatives, and it was just, they were united over the fiscal issues, the debt, the borrowing, and we need to appeal to that as Republicans. I mean, there are a lot of things we can disagree about, but America is increasingly united over the debt, and we can take this idea of downsizing government and decentralizing government. That's what I wrote about, and I know you're probably sick of talking about my books, but I want to sound the alarm, and I've just come out with one this week called Now or Never, because I really believe that this is our last chance to save America, and we've got to engage people of all stripes, throw out the political labels, and just say, listen, this is about surviving, and we need to understand what made our country great. And all of our candidates have been talking about different aspects of that, and the best candidate's going to be the one who captures the ideas from all of the Republican candidates who've been in the race. You know, we've got really all of them had something to offer, and the winner of our campaign needs to demonstrate that they respect and can appreciate what Americans found in these other candidates. So I don't think the primary process is going to turn out to be negative. There'll be some bad feelings, I'm sure, but I just hope the winner of our nomination appreciates the others who were in the race and what they were saying, because they all have a little something different we need to come out. The thing I haven't heard, again, I talk about it in Now or Never, is the sense of urgency that our country's on a cliff, and we really don't have a lot of time before the dominoes start falling. Senator
DeMint, and you stole my thunder on the big promo of your book, because it's on our website, lauraingraham.com. It's going to be our featured selection all week, because Senator DeMint is just frankly one of my favorite people, period, and favorite human beings, but also one of the most, I think, principled and hardworking politicians, which some people could say would be an oxymoron, Senator. But Senator DeMint actually is one from South Carolina, and I love the title, Now or Never. So it's our featured selection all week on lauraingraham.com. Senator, with your point that people need to, I think, in this primary, recognize and respect pretty much everyone in the field for what he or she brings to the table. And at this point, Newt Gingrich has unleashed an ad in South Carolina. I'm going to play just a short clip of it on the issue of abortion. Let's listen.
Romney appointed a pro-abortion judge, expanded access to abortion pills, put Planned Parenthood on a state medical board, but failed to put a pro-life group on the same board. Massachusetts moderate Mitt Romney. He can't be trusted.
Your take on this?
Well, believe it or not, it's the same type of ads they ran against me when I first ran for Congress. I was not supposedly the conservative in the race. I don't think that's healthy right now. I think it's fine to point out people's records, but the only way we're going to ever win the battle for life is to convince a lot of people that used to be pro-choice to be pro-life. And so I think this idea of condemning people who've changed their minds is not a good idea for any of us, whether it's politicians or just the average American, because a lot of Americans have been a part of and been affected by abortion, and we need to welcome them to the pro-life movement. I don't think we can do it with ads like that.
I agree with you. I must say, I think Newt Gingrich in this ad also gets us down the road of kind of making that the central issue, and obviously it's one of the most important issues to me personally. However, in South Carolina, I'm looking at these polls. It seems like jobs is what people want to talk about. Jobs, jobs, jobs.
They do, and I think what we need to do as Republicans is help people understand the connection between the spending, the debt, and the big government, and the loss of jobs and the problem with our economy, because that's what it's all about this year. The social issues have a lot to do with our economic problems, but this is the year to talk about jobs and the economy and help people understand that debt and big government are what is what's killing our economy right now.
What would you say to Newt today if he was asking your advice on running these types of ads in your state?
Well, he's a great American, Laura. He's got great ideas, and I think we need to credit him with a lot of the changes that took place.
I have
so
credited him.
I would say, Newt, you're a great American. Get back on your positive focus. Talk about your big ideas. That's the only way, I think, to turn things at this point. Again, I would encourage all the candidates. Now, let's just be as positive as we can. I know they're frustrated if people run negative.
Well, Romney hit Gingrich pretty hard. I mean, Romney's folks over at that super PAC took a buzzsaw through Newt, and I think obviously he's trying to come back from that, and in the process, hit the Bain Capital stuff very hard. And your friend Rick, you see Rick Perry yesterday, and I don't know where it was, Greenville. Where was he? I don't know where it was, South Carolina, but talking about the vulture capitalist Mitt Romney. What would you say to Perry? Vultures.
I don't like that at all, because I was in business a long time as a consultant to a lot of businesses. Everyone knows that over half of new businesses fail, and that's part of the process of failing and getting up and succeeding. And I really think to have a few Republicans in this race begin to talk about how bad it is to fire people and stuff, certainly we don't like that, but it really gives the Democrats a lot of fodder. I just think I don't mind the criticism of different candidates, but we need to understand the principles of our party and help Americans understand why we are for free enterprise and why the socialist ideas of this administration are failing us.
Well, I hear. I think it's a rough and tumble contest. There's no doubt about it. But once we start eating our own and eating our own principles, as Senator DeMint said, then I think Republicans get themselves a big pickle, and it's not necessarily good for anybody. Senator DeMint, congratulations on the book, but I know what you really care about is saving this country from economic collapse, which is the subtitle of your book, Now or Never. Senator DeMint, thank you so much. We really appreciate your perspective on the race, these ads, and where we're going from here. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Laura.
All right, you take care. We'll take a break on the Laura Ingraham Show.